and good evening, cult members, whatever day at time it is that you're listening. Good morning. Hi, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
Yeah, that's how the show's going to start tonight. I see how it's going to be. This is The Big Shoe. It's our weekly sit-down, talk about whatever's going on in the news. This week, it'll be the review version of the world.
Okay. Yes, we have multiple
reviews. Because... well, we just sat on the couch all weekend and really didn't do much. Not for any other reason other than I just felt like sitting on the couch and doing nothing. Yes. We also are going to tell you that we may be a little ADD. We have the home run derby on in the background.
So if we keep watching the TV.
I might have to be turning off the TV here at some point in time. What were we saying? Oh, yeah. So we're going to start off. I wore my Doctor Who shirt. For those of you on the podcast feed, today in 2006 was Bad Wolf episode of Doctor Who.
Yep, today is Bad Wolf Day.
It is Bad Wolf Day. Celebrate accordingly everywhere where bad wolves are sold.
Get out your chalk. I won't advocate spray paint, but get out your chalk and write Bad Wolf everywhere.
There's nothing wrong with a little friendly vandalism if it can be cleaned up.
Right.
No? I'm just going to go there. So let's get into the first big story of the weekend. There was this little movie that came out this weekend called Spiderman?
Arachnid Man?
Arachnid Man. Multi-leg dude. Spider-Man Far From Home from the holiday for us here in the States was from Tuesday to Sunday. Our 4th of July was on Thursday, and it opened on Tuesday. From Tuesday to Sunday, it made $185 million domestically.
Right.
And $577 million worldwide.
Right. It was apparently huge in Japan. Huge in China. But that's not the saying. It's huge in Japan. So.
Yeah, I know. It's much fun. But because it's the internet, and the internet is batshit bonkers fucking crazy sometimes, some people are trying to say that this was a disappointing opening for Far From Home.
It's not Endgame. You can't compare everything to Endgame.
Are you kidding me? It had $185 million. Okay. Just the 3-day weekend for the States, it was $93 million.
Right. And a lot of people aren't home, especially when it's a long weekend like that. So even if you didn't, most of us, the holiday started on Thursday, which was actually the 4th of July.
Right.
Some people may have gone out, on vacation on Wednesday. Lots of people took Friday off. So if you're going to have, you're going to have a 5-day weekend where you actually only had to take 2 days off of work,
right,
or maybe even one if your company is closed on Friday. Everybody's going out of town.
And they're all in my office. I know your office was this way too. There was nobody in the office on Friday.
Yeah.
So if they all left town, and if you saw any of the videos of everybody leaving Vegas to go back to LA on Sunday, everybody left.
Yeah.
So. But let's do a review. We went and saw it on Wednesday night.
Yep.
We saw it in the Dolby Theater.
Yep.
It's going to be a non-spoiler review, the best we can do. However, we have to talk about this movie. We have to talk about Endgame, and we're going to spoil Endgame.
Right, and you shouldn't go see this movie if you haven't seen Endgame, because they're going to spoil the shit out of that movie for you.
Right. Actually, they did it in the second trailer, so if you hadn't seen Endgame, then you knew. But let's overall just talk about the movie real quick. I talked about this in our Stardust. I really liked it. I might like this more than I liked Homecoming.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I'm not sure if I liked it more than Homecoming. I need to watch it a couple more times. But if it was less, it wasn't much less.
Right.
There's definitely more story as far as, Peter Parker and MJ and, just kind of now that he's in the Avengers officially, more just kind of who Peter Parker is.
And him having to deal with his surrogate father not being there anymore is really kind of
Right.
like, I love how they actually they just leaned into it. Like
Yeah.
they didn't shy away from that relationship and how that relationship would affect Peter. And so I really appreciated that kind
I
of.
was actually shocked that they kind of talked about not so much his relationship with Tony, but his relationship within the Avengers. They
Yeah.
talked about that
Yeah.
and dove into that way more than I thought they were going to. I thought that they were just gonna kind of just leave it out there to your imagination until 5. Are we on 4 or 5? The stage.
Oh, we're in the end. This was the epilogue of Phase 3.
Phase 3. Okay,
They will
so
announce Phase 4 in 2 weeks in San Diego, and that's what I'm going with until somebody tells me differently.
so I assumed that they were just going to kind of leave that up in the air
Right,
until
right.
Phase 4 was announced, but they went there.
Yeah, they went there. I read an article today. Kevin Feige has been said in that article that all along they were calling it the blip, where Thanos snapped out half of existence.
Yep.
And it was the fans who called it the snapping or the decimation or whatever else.
Right.
And so they talked about in this article about how the blip was actually what they've been calling it, and that was one of the first adjustments you have to do in the movie. It's a little bit of a spoiler. It's not really a big spoiler, but they talk about the blip and how it was affected by those who stayed and were
Right.
there for the 5 years, and then those who were gone
And then came
and
back.
they came back and they were exactly the same age, and so they handled that really well too. And then I just love MJ and Peter and their awkward teen.
Yeah.
John Hughes.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about
Yeah.
John Hughes later, but like just the awkwardness of, I like you and I don't know how to say it, and just
Yeah, because the previous incarnations of Spider-Man, he was older, and so his relationship with MJ was more college age.
well, at least the actors were college age.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah.
Andrew Garfield was like 30 when he played
Right.
teenage, 18, 19-year-old
Right.
Peter Parker.
I mean, I guess the first one, who was the other Spider-Man? Not Tobey Maguire.
Oh my God! Talk amongst yourselves for a second. I'm a terrible
not-
person.
Tobey Maguire. Anyway, his first one, they were in high school.
They were
They
in
were
high
like
school.
seniors or whatever in high school, because then the next one, she's in college and he's off playing at the Daily Bugle.
It is Tobey Maguire. Good
Is
call.
it Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire?
Wow.
All right.
Hi, we're terrible.
Tobey Maguire
Tobey Maguire
was in that one. Knew it the whole time.
She just wanted to see me get my phone out.
Yeah.
The bad guys, Mysterio, is really cool.
Those are
Jake-
shoulder pads, right?
That costume, I wanted to say it multiple times. That costume is awesome.
Yeah.
It is so cool. The costume itself is so cool.
And it could have been, if you're aware of Mysterio in the comics,
With the fishbowl.
with the fishbowl, with the fog going on inside of it, and you're like, this is just going to be dumb. I mean, but it
but
wasn't.
Works. It totally works.
Yeah.
It totally works. I liked the introduction of Fury, bringing Fury back and having it, having to deal. There's a scene in the trailer. They show it in the movie where Spider-Man, Peter's like, I'm just the neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what about Thor? He's off-world. What about, Captain
Marvel?
Marvel? Don't invoke her name. Like, it was like making a point of like going down the list of, obviously you would call all of these people if you had some
Right.
earth-ending thing or whatever, but it was a nice little touch to kind of, not everything is always a big event thing. And that,
Right. Well, and I think that kind of goes back to them leaning into his role now that Iron Man is gone, and what
Right.
that means for the Avengers
Right.
team. I was just thinking about it, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but that scene where he is in the gymnasium or whatever, and the cops are all standing around, and they're like, "Aren't you an Avenger now?" And he said, "I would be, but I have to do your job." I don't think that was in the movie.
I don't think it was in the movie either. Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then speaking
again, Marvel, the little misdirect in their marketing, which I'm totally okay with.
I am too. However, one of the first things I said when we left the movie was that I felt that, and I kind of felt like this was Sony's hand in it, but Marvel's always done really well about not showing everything in the commercials, and I felt like most of the funny parts were in the commercials.
Yeah, I can get that. I'm trying to remember specifically like different things, and I can now that I'm thinking about it, some of the funny stuff was.
I mean, it's just funnier if you haven't seen it before, and I get that they're going to show some of them, but it really felt like it was almost all of them.
Overall, it looks awesome. The cast is really good. Zendaya is awesome. Her trolling everybody and showing up at the premiere and with red hair. Because everybody's complaining that MJ doesn't have red hair because it's being played by
a black girl.
Puerto Rican?
Yeah,
something
maybe.
like that. But she showed up to the premiere with red hair and stuff, and it was just really cool. And let's give it a score.
I'm going to give it a 3.75.
I'm at a 4.
Okay.
And it might go up a little bit more the more I watch it. But like I said, like Homecoming's cool and great and all, but it's never one of the ones I go back to that I want to rewatch over and over again.
It's just not as deep.
Yeah, but this one is going to be it for me. I think when it comes out and it's on like, TNT for the weekend or whatever, I'll end up watching it. Like we got 70 other things to watch, and I'm turning around and I'm still watching.
Even though the DVD is on the
shelf. Right, exactly. So, one other newsworthy, there was a whole bunch of like really random stuff. A lot of stuff is being held for San Diego right now.
Yep.
There's a movie coming out that was supposed to be at Universal. That's got Dwayne Johnson and Gal Gadot. Universal backed out, so Netflix picked it up. And they're going to have, and the third in that cast is going to be Ryan Reynolds. So that's a very interesting story. That's going to be movie, and it's an international spy thriller kind of thing with the 3 of them in it.
Okay.
I was reading an article from Jeff Snyder talking about it this afternoon. This will probably be the most expensive movie for Netflix they've ever done, because Dwayne gets 20, Gal gets 15. Ryan gets 15. You've used $50 million in just cast. Oh, by the way, it's international, so we're going to go everywhere. And so
I wonder if I wonder if that'll get cut because it's not.
They're spending $100 million on The Irishman, and they also came out last week.
That movie is never happening. I think it's all a lie.
I've seen photos. I don't know how legit they are, but I've seen photos. The other thing, too, that Netflix came out and said is they're going to be a little bit more selective. They're not just going to throw everything against the wall and see if anything happens.
And we appreciate that because it's impossible to find anything to watch on Netflix.
There's 50 things on Netflix I want to watch. And, oh, by the way, we have Hulu and Amazon Prime and all the regular stuff, and it's baseball season, and we want to go see some movies. Let's talk about the last big story, though, that we actually wanted to talk about, and that was The Walking Dead just came to an abrupt end. The comic came to an abrupt end.
The show is never ending.
It's not in Kirkman's hands anymore. If it was in Kirkman's hand, I think they would have ended it maybe this season. Try to bring it back and have it like supposedly this season was really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I bailed again with the too many things to watch.
I know a lot of people who bailed, and the people who said they stuck it out said it came back around. But the comic. They announced last year that the comic was going to be coming to an end, and they had a story arc that they were telling within that, and it made a lot of sense to kind of get to a point. And they released preview covers for issues 194, 195, 196, and most everybody thought that they were going to get to 200 and call it good.
Yeah, it's a nice round number.
Nice round number. It makes a lot of sense. It's been going on for 15 years. Might as well just finish it out or whatever. And the last 193 the end of the issue, and the story ends, and there's a letter in there from Kirkman thanking the fans for following the comic, and that was it.
Yep.
It's done. 193, and
everybody's like, "Where's 94, 95, and 96?"
Yeah, and so then the world exploded, and exploded in an interesting way. Not like not people complaining that they ended the series. It wasn't that. It was that they were surprised by the ending, and the other part of the conversation too was a lot of comic book shop owners were like, you should have told us, we would have ordered more copies and we could have sold them more.
Right.
And Kirkman talked about in an article with THR about how Walking Dead's always been about surprises. It's always been about very Game of Thrones. You just, you don't know the Red Wedding is coming. You don't know about Jaime's hand, that kind of thing, unless you read the books. And so you're surprised by stuff and decisions and stuff that they do within the comic, storytelling wise. And he also really had a hard time with the whole conversation of comics should be collectible, yes, but people shouldn't be just collecting them to collect them. They should be reading them for the stories. And he felt that if he came out and said, hey, I'm going to end it at 193, and they did all this extra stuff, then people would go buy them for the collectability and not necessarily for the story.
Not even the collectability, the
resell.
They're just going to buy them all and then sell them on eBay or something for absorbent prices.
They're doing that with Galaxy Edge stuff, what I don't understand. Like, you're going to be able to go to Galaxy's Edge and buy all this shit, and people are buying it, like, they can't wait.
People pay for it.
But we don't read the comic. I've wanted to read the comic, but I'll just go get the volumes at some point in time and just sit down.
Well, we have the first season.
We have
right?
we have like a preview issue. It's like it's like number 0 or something like that.
Oh.
Or I don't know if it's super collectible. I bought it at a used bookstore for like $5, so I don't know if it's super collectible. But
he bought it for me, so he didn't feel bad about all the money he spent.
Pretty much, I'm not gonna lie. But I wanted to read the story. But knowing what I know now, I don't know if I go back and forth. Is it worth going back and reading all of it now?
Yeah.
Now that I know where the ending is, or do I not care because it's not a continuous story?
I would probably, like we were talking that they should put stuff online, and a lot of it they do on Comixology. I think you still have to pay for those, right? It's kind of almost like Audible or whatever. You buy them and download them to your device, but you're buying them to read them, not because it's an electronic copy. You're not ever gonna.
Right. You can't bag and board your phone. Well, you can bag and board your phone if you want to do that. But
I think some people have done that. But I might be interested to do that. I don't know that I want to spend money on it, though. That's horrible.
I actually want to know the story.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. And they do, I think there's 7 volumes or 8 volumes out right now, not including this last run. So there'll probably be 8 or 9 total volumes. And so I think that could be an interesting sit down and read. However, I've got Major X, I've got Dark Disciple, Darth Vader, I've got Thrawn, I've got Why the Last Man, I've got The Boys, I've got Umbrella Academy, White Violin, and Dallas, and Watchmen. What else is in there? Firefly.
You need to pick a couple and go with those.
Well, the problem is that like some of them I'm reading right now are only coming out like every 3 weeks or a month. So I then going. It's comics. So we're gonna go to break. Once we come back from break, we're gonna talk spoiler-heavy, in-depth Stranger Things. Game of Thrones, no. Umbrella Academy, no. Stranger Things. We're gonna do in-depth, spoiler-heavy talk about all the goodness that was Stranger Things 3. And so if you do not want to watch that,
or listen to it,
we understand if you want to end now. But we will be doing a whole spoiler thing here in a minute. So we'll be right back.
Hello, cult members. Like what you've heard on this podcast? Then please subscribe and follow us here. You can also find us on Facebook at the Pop Culture Cult. We're on Instagram at PopCultureCult1. And we're on Twitter at Pop_Cult1. We're also on YouTube at PopCultureCult and on the Stardust app under PopCultureCult. Please help us by liking, following, and subscribing to everything we have. This helps us build a bigger and better cult of pop culture.
And we're back. If you're listening to this or watching this, we are doing a standalone review of Stranger Things in this video. It's also a part of our weekly show, The Big Show, which will be in there. So if we've already talked about this. that's what's going on. So you've been warned.
Stranger Things 3. We're gonna spoil it.
We're gonna spoil a lot of it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You've been warned. Okay. Let's. I'm trying to figure. I've been thinking about this a lot over. Trying to figure out how to do this, like how to do this review. First, I'm gonna say we've already watched it twice.
Yep. And as soon as we finished last night, I was like, I could watch it again.
Just saying. So he only has 2 home runs. We're also watching the home run derby, so we're a little distracted. This show, when we first started watching season 1, she watched like 3 episodes and stopped and said, "You need to watch this with me."
And he's like, "I don't know, it's scary. I don't like scary." And I'm like, "No, you're gonna. This is your childhood. You need to watch this."
Yes, I was. We talked about this in the past. I'm about 2 years. I was about 2 years younger, or maybe 3 years younger than the cast is in the show.
Yeah.
I was born in '75, so this is supposed to be the summer of '85. So I was like, 10, and they're all supposed to be like, 13, 15, 16,
yeah.
That kind of stuff. Maybe even a little bit older. So I'm more of Lucas's sister's age.
Yeah.
than I am with the rest of the cast and the boys and everything. I didn't do this while we were sitting here, so I'm just going to bring it up on my phone.
But he is not into My Little Pony.
But I'm not. I've never been into. I'm not opposed.
He is a nerd.
I am a nerd. So my nostalgia for this show is a thing. Like it's right in my wheelhouse of stuff. Why is it not bringing it up the way I wanted to bring it up? All right, whatever.
Because it's IMDb.
Because it's IMDb and it's on my phone. But really loved season 1. We've been through it like 6 or 7 times. Really loved season 2, even with that episode. After rewatching it several times and sitting down with it, I realized what that episode is now. It is Empire Strikes Back. It is the Yoda episode. And you cannot finish that season without that episode happening. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. So this season, they start off, not like some time's gone by because the kids have grown up and stuff.
Right. Well, they did start in '84. Started in the summer of '84.
They did.
And the Ruskies are trying to open the portal in Russia, and are almost successful, but it closes back up, and then the Terminator, Darth Vader's the scientist guy.
So no, the Russian general is
No,
Tarkin,
but it's,
and
I know, but the Terminator guy is the one who chokes
Yes,
him.
he's Vader. Yes, yeah. Hi, I was looking at my phone. I'll stop looking at my phone. Now my phone's going off. So we start with Russians.
Yes.
Like it makes. In 1985, everything's going on in the world. The Cold War is in high swing. It's almost to its zenith at this point in time. Having the Russians trying to open the gate in the summer of '84 makes complete sense.
Right. Well, because it's right after. It's a year? Because the last one was '83. Yes, because Ghostbusters. So '83,
Yeah.
and then '84, and so they're trying to open it, and they are not successful. And so then they go to '85, summer of '85. So it's
Right.
been a year, and the Russian general tells the non-dead Russian scientist that he has a year to figure it out.
Right. Smirnov.
Which is right, Alexei Smirnov apparently. I always want to call him Sergei. Sergei. But Alexei works too.
I like Sergei too. You're not Sergei? Now we're just totally mixing. The story they do this season and the way they do everything, my phone is blowing up, folks, and I don't know what's going on.
Volume thing.
I turned it off now.
Right.
The story arc this season is very complete. It's one 7.5-hour movie.
Yes.
Is what it really is. And people complained about that episode last season because it was very much like a interlude, almost like.
It was very jarring and different because they weren't in Hawkins, right? So Hawkins is a sleepy little town in Indiana where, modern pop culture gets there 2 or 3 years later, and then they go to Chicago.
I think it's Chicago, yeah.
And where it's gritty and current
punk rocky,
and very not Hawkins, and so it's jarring. I understand the story. I understand the point. I think they probably could have executed a little bit better.
But this season actually ends up working out where every scene seamlessly rolls and connects to the next scene.
Right.
More and more and more and more. And
right.
I loved that. I loved that everything that was going on, including the Romancing the Stone rom-com bickering that Hop and Joyce had the whole time, makes complete sense. Added into the Russian, spy intrigue, kind of war games, kind of thing. What was the other one?
The Terminator,
Red Dawn. The Thing, kind of the Mind Flayer is the thing that comes out of Will. Maybe necessarily didn't get killed off; it just got excommunicated from him, and finds a new host, and the new host is Billy. And Billy being the bad guy and being this Invasion of the Body Snatchers disconnected was just really, really well done and was super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you pretty much hated Billy last season because he was just a jackass.
Yeah.
And then, the end of this season you understand, who he was and kind of why he was that way, and he gets his.
That was really well done, having 11 be the one who learns
his story
and why he's so angry and why he is such the way he is.
Yep.
And then that's the way they bring him back.
Yeah.
At the end.
And then he gets to save everybody, he gets
to do the hero's charge essentially.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool, I really appreciated that they kept him as the big bad, this season. I mean, he is essentially the big bad, but still giving him a redemption arc that made complete sense for how they set up everything.
Yep.
The monster, the Mind Flayer, is made up of goo,
inside out parts of people and rats and.
I told her upon halfway through the second viewing, I told her I don't like the monster. Like not like I don't like it. Like I think it's stupid or whatever. Like it creeps me the fuck out. Like
and I said, and it's doing its job.
But the monster, the thing that kept getting me is his teeth were bones.
Yeah, it was,
and that was what was getting me every time. Is every time it opened its mouth, I'm like, that's a leg bone and that's an arm bone.
Yeah, and I like that because it is goo. He can disassemble and go under door jams and down storm drains and stuff.
Very much the Blob kind of.
Yeah, but all these bones and stuff. So like one of the times when he goes down in the drain and then there's still like some bones hanging around because they're too big to go through the drain.
Through the drain, yeah. That was a whole... so cool, but Jesus. So let's talk about the boys. I want to talk about the girls. Actually, you know what? I want to talk about Hop and Joyce. Let's go there, then we'll talk about the boys and then the girls. Hop and Joyce, I kept going back and forth what their rom-com, 80s rom-com kind of thing was the entire time. And then I'm like, when did Romancing the Stone come out? And it was 1984. And so I'm like, it makes complete sense. Him dressing up as Magnum P.I., being called Fat Rambo a couple of times. Some people have said that was off-putting. I found it refreshing. I found it very refreshing to have that we all want. They're Joyspur, Josper,
Jopper.
We're going with Jopper. We all want Jopper, right? We all want that. We all want to ship them, and not having them, them doing the Cheers thing, where Sam and Diane the whole time were just kind of flirting and never really getting together. I really loved that story. And I love that how that was.
I think the only thing about Hopper that was off-putting for me was his rage over derangement over 11 and Mike being teenagers and just like I get the reason. It was just like he was so angry
and over the top angry at times about it.
And then Mike being so disrespectful. I'm like, that's
out of character for Mike,
but
not out of a character for a teenage boy of that time, of that age. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. They just we've raised some kids, and they would never I would have.
There have been some smacking going on.
I don't care that you're not my child.
We've beaten other children.
I don't care you're not my child. Get out. So I mean that was a little jarring, but it didn't take me out of it. I don't know.
I appreciated being the dad kind of with somebody who's not directly your child. Being the stepdad of especially a daughter, so I understood a little bit of it, and so I got it and stuff.
Yeah, and there's that he didn't raise her; he kind of came in the middle,
right,
trying to deal with all that.
And he still has all the baggage from his daughter and the breakup with his wife, and a lot of other stuff. It was and they actually touched on a lot of that, which was really nice.
Yeah.
The boys, Will, Lucas, Mike, and Dustin, and Steve Harrington. This season was the Steve Harrington show.
Steve the Hair Harrington.
We're going to talk about Steve and Robin in a minute. I want to talk about them, but specifically Steve. It's been very easy for them to you know, he was the kind of the bad guy in the first season, and had a redemption arc in the first season, and then in season 2 he was kind of the sidekick to the boys, to the kids,
babysitter,
and the babysitter. But this season, like him being directly involved with everything, I thought was really cool. Like I really liked. He's still an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot, and he was able to figure things out as they were going along, as they were trying to figure out the Russian code and stuff like that. He was able to catch things that some of the others weren't catching.
I don't know that he's an idiot. He was a jock, right? And so he got away. He didn't have to pay attention in class and all that. He actually, I feel like he is smart. He didn't have to pay attention.
He didn't have to learn about anything.
So he's like just missing some of that knowledge.
There's my favorite line. You know, like I said, we're gonna watch it again. But my favorite line, the whole season, was when they finally all meet back at the Battle of Starcourt Mall. This is really hard to say. And they're explaining to Lucas's sister about everything that's going on, and Robin, because Elle throws a car across the mall, the food court.
And they don't know why
and
she could do that.
And they're explaining it, and Steve's like, "This is just how it is. Just catch up." You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
catch up.
It's the perfect answer for everything. It's like, why don't you know about this?
Right, I mean, especially since he's been being overshadowed by Robin the whole time, because she's like this brainiac and he's just looking stupid. And then finally, I know this one.
I got that reference. But I just loved Steve's arc and how he is, and just jumps right into the fight. The whole drug scene is amazing between him and Rob. We'll get back to that. I talked about Mike and his kind of indignancy, teenage boy stuff or whatever, which you know, okay, here or there or whatever, it's fine. Lucas trying to be the experienced boyfriend, trying to help Mike win 11 back because he fucks up all the time, it's just so fun. Like, that was his job this season for Lucas, was to do that. Will's arc is heartbreaking, because he's been wanting to go back to things that like they were before he got taken away and before he got taken over by the Mind Flayer, and he multiple times in this episode, or this season, he's like, I just want to go back to the way it was.
Yeah, because he basically, like, there's like, you know, at least a good year where he, you know, he's gone and then he's back and then he's messed up and he's full of the monster or whatever, and his, you know, friends are still being kids, and
he's got an overly protective mother now who won't let him go out and do anything, you know, and so like all of that was going on. And so now he's like, I just want to, can we play D&D now? No. Like that running gag was fun. And then when he forces Lucas and Mike to sit down and play, and that realization for Will that, things aren't the same. And everybody else has had the chance to grow up and find girls and do stuff. And his conversation with Mike, and Mike says, you just don't like girls. And it wasn't even like he was calling him gay or anything. He was just like, it was just kind of like, you haven't had a chance to like do. It was just like that whole thing was awesome.
Yeah, and the argument when Mike just, you know, he took my arm and I cast a spell and we sacrificed ourselves and we killed everything. Great campaign, and that whole argument. It's like, oh yeah, I had that argument with my friends when I was little. I watched our kids have arguments like that with their friends, because they're just being kids and being jerks, and and now their friend is crushed and they're like, oh, I was really a jerk, and
and they reconcile that too in the last little bit of the last episode, where Will kind of says, I always want to be part of this group no matter what, even if everybody else moves away and stuff. I still want to be part of this group. Did he just hit 30? He just hit 30. So we're watching the home run derby.
Again.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. just hit his 30th home run in the second round. Dustin coming back from camp with a girlfriend who's Mormon. Like like what? And him and Steve and Robin and Lucas's sister going in and breaking into the Russian base at the mall, and like, and he's the one who's the sober one, and the whole like, and like being the adult, like how Steve
I don't ever want to have kids.
Yeah, it was like just all of that was just. I love Dustin this season. I love Dustin this season.
Yeah, you get the feeling like out of all of them, Dustin strangely is going to be the most normal, like as a grown-up. He's going to be like the most adjusted, and and he's like a single mom, and and he's got the whole tooth thing, which has made him an outcast, and and all this, and you just kind of get the feeling that he's just going to be the most normal grown-up.
Him explaining to Lucas's sister that she's a nerd because I'm a nerd and I can recognize my kind of conversation. Oh, by the way, while they're trying to break into a Russian facility, is so well done. Let's talk about the girls. I want to start with Max. And Max being the guiding hand for 11, how to be a girl, is a really fun thing for her. And I love Sadie and Millie's relationship, like their personal friendship outside of acting relationship, really comes out in this show. That you can really like, especially towards the end when Elle is really like embracing being herself, being her own person, not being 11, not being
Mike's girlfriend
or Harper's daughter, or whatever. She's Elle, and she's doing her own thing, and like that whole just Max kind of leading her down that path, and
Max is the perfect blend of she's kind of tomboy-y, and 11 has been that way too, probably just because she doesn't really
know any better,
have an association, male or female, and doctors were male, whatever, but she's enough girl that they can go shopping for clothes and go get their portraits taken and all of that, but still tomboy enough to pull out some Wonder Woman comics and
skateboard and explaining how to clean a proper cut, like properly clean a cut, and like that was a really cool scene. 11's arc this season too, where of course she's got powers, and of course they're teenagers, and of course they would use those powers for questionable things.
Like spying.
I was going to say nefarious, but I couldn't get the word out. But it was like, of course they were spying on the boys, and of course they were spying on Billy, and and like of course they were doing that stuff. And her, what I really liked most about Elle this season was her losing her abilities
at the end.
And having them to have to rely on something else to beat the monster than just Elle putting her hand out.
Right.
I love that story.
Yep. And the cliffhanger is they're still not back at the end. So is it like a muscle and she's gotta let it rest for a while, or did she
retrain herself,
blow it all on trying to get rid of it?
Yeah.
We'll see.
And then the new girl this year is Robin, Maya Hawke, Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter. I just learned that this afternoon and my mind exploded. But Robin's character starts off as the reluctant co-worker of Steve, and she's smart, but she's always been like the band nerd or the theater nerd, so she never got Steve's attention. And then as Steve spent more time with her and realized that she is smart and nice and cool and like all this other stuff, Steve falls for her. In the end, however, she has a thing for girls, and the way they handled that story was really cool. Like
it was like a minute conversation. Well, maybe a 2 minute, because she made a little bit of a speech, and then Steve was like, "Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah. Like him. Like it would have been really easy for him to have a hissy fit and like, I never get the girl, blah, 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 whatever. Like that's whatever. That's fine. But him.
It totally didn't change their relationship.
Totally didn't change their relationship at all. And it totally, that's how you do representation. It's not a thing. It's
Right.
not a thing that she's gay or
Right.
lesbian or whatever.
And the only reason it even came up was because he kind of started going, I realized that there was this great girl right in front of me, and she's been there this whole time, and I haven't seen her, and kind of coming on to her in the bath, in the
They were
toilet stalls.
puking, and it was
Yeah,
it was like, oh.
weird. But that's the only reason that it even came up.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hi, my name is, and I'm gay, which
Yeah.
is dumb.
Yeah. And she didn't even say that. She just, she told the story of why they were in this class and how she kept ogling over this other girl. And Steve always thought this because she was jealous of her, and she was like, no, I wanted to be
Jealous of you.
I'm jealous of you
because
you were dating her and stuff like that.
She was paying attention to. They didn't date.
Yeah, well, they were paying attention to you. So I thought that was a really cool, that was great way to do it. It wasn't in the original script. They worked it out. Maya and Joe, who plays Steve Harrington, did it all on their own with some guidance with the Doffer brothers and Sean Levy, and they got around to it and they filmed it. And I just very John Hughes kind of moment, and just super well done. We have 5 minutes left. We've talked about Joyce and Hopper, but we need to talk about the scene at the end.
Right.
So the Russians are trying to open the gate, blah, 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 whatever. Joyce has a chance to turn both of them off both of the keys off at the same time.
Yep.
But Hopper's stuck in the room, and they've shown that if you are in the room when it goes off, everything gets evaporated.
Right.
Now he had thrown the Terminator dude into the what we were calling the Hadrian Collider.
Hadrian Collider.
Hadrian Collider. So he threw him in there. So there's this lightning wall that's going off between where Hop is and where Joyce is in the control room. So you really can't get out. So he kind of convinces her to just turn the keys and it's okay.
Yeah.
And the machine goes off. There's a flash. He's completely gone. There's not even bodies or anything. But all the other guards that are in there, their bodies have been evaporated.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Basically no one is left in the room.
Right.
But we don't know necessarily what that means. The assumption is they've been evaporated, although that's not what happened the first time.
First time they just got electrocuted and melted.
Well, they were melty, yeah. They were crisp.
And then we get a post-credit scene where they're in a Russian facility in Russia. It's like a prison, and the security guard says, no, not the American, and they grab a guy next to him, drag him down into the pit. It's the Demogorgon from season 1, who has apparently been working out.
He's been taking Russian steroids.
Russian steroids or whatever. So everybody is now questioning: is it Hopper in the room? And everything I've read, nobody's willing to say because they haven't even been picked up for season 4.
Of course, they're going to be picked up for season 4. Of course they are.
I'm okay if they decide to leave it at 3, but of course it has to be a season 4. Most everybody has said they have a 4-season arc, so they want to do a 4-season arc. Are you cool with the way they close that out?
Yeah, I think that was fun. Yeah.
Very much Marvel kind of leave it hanging there kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's a conversation piece.
That's what I read today is what they were talking about. They were talking about the reason they left 11 with no powers and Hop being gone and the Wheelers and Elle moving. They want that conversation to be going on. They don't want just the season was over, everybody binged it in a day.
Right.
Now there's going to be all these online theories for the rest of time to try to go and try to figure it out.
Well, at least until season 4.
Until season 4 when they explained to us that he was just teleported to a Russian facility where the other gun was.
Well, the Terminator dude did get thrown into the Hadrian Collider, which probably messed it up. So
a lot, yeah. Oh, so I'm sure it's all.
It probably did not function correctly.
And with the Demogorgon in Russia, they're going to try to weaponize them and that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. And we were also trying to figure out timeline. This is summer of '85, so we'll probably be either fall of '86, spring of '87, that kind of time period.
Christmas would be fun. They haven't done Christmas yet.
They haven't done Christmas. Christmas could be very interesting. Yeah. So that is our thoughts on.
Well, they did kind of do. They kind of did Christmas in the first one at the very
at the very
end.
end, yeah. But like, yeah, I think fall would be very interesting. Fall in Indiana.
Yeah, but they did that in the first one too. It was Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
I don't know.
Spring.
I like it. So there's our thoughts on Stranger Things and season Stranger Things 3. I'll call it that way. And that was also our big show for the week. So if you have any comments, please let us know. Be nice in the comments. Follow us on everything that is on our feeds, podcasts, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. It's always in the commercial. Help us out on Patreon. We're working towards goal there. I'm getting tired, and I need to go watch the finals of the Home Run Derby. Till next time, good night, cult members.